Welcome to Proclaiming Justice, a podcast from PJTN that focuses the light of truth on vital issues in today's headlines that impact every American. I'm your host, Laurie Cardoza-Moore, founder and president of Proclaiming Justice to the Nations, and I'm here to educate, motivate, and activate you to action. I want to arm you with the truth and the facts you'll need to fight and preserve our constitutional republic and uphold the Judeo-Christian values our nation was founded upon. Welcome to Proclaiming Justice, a PJTN podcast, and I'm your host, Laurie Cardoza-Moore. If you missed the last episode of this podcast, you will find it and our previous podcast lineup on our website at pjtn.org, as well as all the other platforms that you use to access your favorite podcasts. On this week's podcast, I have invited Zoe Marks, an IDF officer representing Yatar, a specialist first responder anti-terror unit that operates in Gaza, Lebanon, and other critical areas along Israel's borders. I also want to remind you that as a PJTN watchman, it's our biblical duty to listen and share this and all of our previous podcasts with your family and friends so that they can take action against the issues that threaten our republic and the state of Israel. So please remember to like and share. As it goes with Israel, so shall it go with America. Zoe, thank you so much for joining us on Proclaiming Justice. It's a tremendous honor to have you today.
Thank you, Laurie, so much. I appreciate being here today and having the opportunity to speak on to you and your platform.
Yeah, this is amazing. This organization, I've not been familiar with it until recently, until you reached out to me. So I want to thank you so much for doing that, because this is right up our alley. These are things that our audience is concerned about, wants to have more information about, wants to be able to help. And we've been watching the headlines. In fact, I was talking to a friend 2 days ago in Jerusalem who was telling me that that the Israeli government is preparing the people for all-out war with Hezbollah. Tell us what's going on. Give us an update on what is happening right now on the north and in Gaza.
Yes, so currently we're still in the war against Gaza, against Hamas specifically. That has been going on for almost 9 months now. When it comes up to the northern border, it's been very difficult from the beginning of since October 7th. We've experienced a lot of threats and attacks from the north, from Hezbollah specifically. Many people are evacuated from their homes and haven't been there for a while now. In the last few days specifically, there have been more warnings about the war erupting on that front as well. So the government has been preparing people who are still up in the north at home to maybe evacuate from their homes and to maybe prepare for things to might escalate, might include even more people being recruited to join. So currently we're very much under threat from all fronts of Israel, not just in the Gaza border, not just in the Lebanon border, also throughout all of Judea and Samaria. So it's very hard, we're very on alert for something to erupt on all the fronts. But we are very much prepared, especially from my point of view. I can tell you from the Army side, from my unit's point of view, we're very much prepared to what's to come, hoping that we won't have to get there. But that's the reality we're living in right now.
Yeah, this is a reality for all of us as we watch what's happening on your borders. Those of us in America also are looking at our borders and looking at the terrorist threats that are coming across as well. And it seems that we've been given information that we've got similar terrorists coming to the United States. So this is really, it's a threat to the freedom. It's to our republic, to our two nations.
Yes,
And
definitely.
it doesn't look like it's going to let up anytime soon. What is the Israeli government preparing the Israeli people for? What are they preparing these units, like your unit, for?
Yeah, so I can tell you from my unit specifically, I know every unit is also prepared differently. But from our point of view, very specifically on our small unit, we've been preparing up in the northern border for a long time now. Mm-hmm. Every day it's been preparing for the war to erupt there too. With us specifically, we we know that operating in the northern border is very different. Also, first of all, the terrain is completely different than the terrain we've experienced with Gaza in the war with Hamas. So we know that if something happens in the northern border with Hezbollah, then the whole operation will also look differently. So it's very much training for that land, for that enemy. They have different equipment against us. They might have different strategies. So we're really trying to cover everything around that to be able to just be prepared for any scenario that might come.
Yeah, it's very disturbing. I mean, we've been sitting watching Hezbollah acquire rockets, accumulate rockets for a long time from Iran. And so we've always known that this is going to be an area, a volatile area eventually. And I guess the time has come. Tell us about your unit, Zoe. I'm not familiar with your unit, but I'm just researching what you all are doing. I'm very much interested in learning more and learning how PJTN can help support what you're doing to protect innocent Israelis, to protect Israel, the state of Israel.
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to tell you all about my unit. So my unit, like you said at the beginning, it's called Yatar, which is spelled Yatar, and it's actually an acronym in Hebrew, which stands for Tactical Vehicle Unit. Now, our unit is comprised of reserve soldiers who all served in different elite units in the IDF, who finished their services, and now as reservists volunteer their time to be part of our unit. Now, we operate truly all across the borders of the country, and we focus on the borders just because we have so many threats. Israel is a very small country, but we have hundreds of miles of borders separating us and our neighbors, with all the land on those borders being very tough. It's different terrain in each section of the country, and it's very rough, it's very hard, and not every single vehicle can cross any kind of terrain to get to any incident. So what happens is our reserve volunteers, they dedicate their time to be part of our unit, and we have our soldiers, we have men and women, all combat, all fully trained, and they're placed in teams across the country. If it's the borders of Egypt and Jordan in the south, if it's the Gaza border before the war and now, all along Judea and Samaria, and of course up in the northern borders of Lebanon and Syria. So what we do is we use ATVs, these vehicles that are very much used recreationally in many homes, and we use them to fight terrorists, to intercept any kind of different incidents. It might be terrorist attacks, it might be smugglers trying to bring weapons across borders into the wrong hands. And we also provide medical, first response medical support and care to an incident that has happened and unfortunately have been wounded or worse. So our soldiers, they're all highly trained. As I said before, they come from elite units in the IDF, but they are even trained and used for their expertise to drive these vehicles, which are completely exposed. They have no armor, but these vehicles can cross any kind of terrain on any border. And they can also do these, go on these operations and get to these locations of the incidents very swiftly, very efficiently, crossing these lands, but also, of course, risking their own lives, these soldiers, just because they are completely exposed. Because unlike the armored vehicles the IDF has generally, those vehicles are great, they're large, they're armored, and they protect the soldiers inside. But ours, we rely on the fact that the speed will save our lives, and it has. As a matter of fact, our vehicle can actually get to a faster speed than an RPG being fired at it, so we can actually escape a weapon like that. So it just goes to show how these vehicles can actually protect the soldiers inside much more than anything else. So we're really spread across the country now. I'm talking even prior to the war. We've been around since 2016. After a series of terrorist attacks that occurred, also specifically in Judea and Samaria, where the land there is even more uneven than other places. And the original team of Yatar came together. They realized they all either lived or served in the borders, so they were very familiar with those areas. And they realized we need to fill in this gap of the speed and the reaction to these incidents in order to really save lives, protect our people in the country,
Right.
and do what we can. Now, as is for the war, in regards to the war, and ever since October 7th, us personally, we lost three of our men on October 7th, protecting their people and doing what they can just to keep Israel safe. But sadly, they were overtaken by the power of Hamas. And we lost one of our founding officers as well throughout the war in December. So it's been a very hard time for us, but we haven't stopped working since October 7th. We've been impacted, but we're also providing such a big impact on the safety and the of Israel and its people and the borders and the people. We've also had to adjust, obviously, to a lot of different things. If it's how we spoke in the beginning, if it's to prepare for the war to break out in the north, so we've been placed over there just to prepare. But also the biggest thing that we've had to do since October 7th is actually we've taken some of our vehicles and retrofitted them and placed platforms on the back that allow us to place 2 stretchers on those vehicles. And by that, we've been extracting wounded soldiers from the battlefield. And with our swift evacuations, we've been able to save their lives.
Thank God.
It's an amazing thing, and it's an unfortunate reality that we have to do this on a daily basis, but we're very honored to be able to save these soldiers' lives. We've managed to save the lives of over 187 soldiers, which is something we're very proud of, and we're, unfortunately, like I said, we keep doing this, but we keep doing this with pride. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was an incident where a Hamas sniper, shot at our forces and injured, killed 2 on the spot, but wounded 6 more. And we were able to be part of the evacuation operation and successfully bringing those soldiers into a point of care, and by that saving their lives. I also just the other day heard that one of those soldiers managed to even get home already or healthy, and so it's really amazing for us to be able to do that for our country, for our people, for these soldiers. Some are very young, some are older, but everyone deserves the opportunity to be saved in time, and that's what we're very proud to do. And of course, we're doing that along with still operating all across the other borders. Again, so we keep having these incidents of people trying to infiltrate our borders, smugglers trying to pass these weapons to the wrong hands. So we're really just 24/7 on the line, risking ourselves, doing everything we can just to protect our borders, protect our people, and also at the end of the day, fight the enemy and just keep our land safe.
Well, I'm sure that the service that you provide to your your commanding officers and for the guys that are on the field, in the field, fighting this battle, trying to rescue those who have been injured. I'm sure you all are a breath of fresh air when they see you coming to help in this capacity. But Zoe, tell our audience, you're amazing. You sound amazing. You're doing amazing work. And it's not always that we get to talk to an officer, someone who's actively serving in the military. Tell our audience about how this impacts you. I know you're here in the United States right now, but how does it impact you as a woman, as a leader in this unit, a member of this unit? How does it personally impact you, what you're doing?
It's had a very strong impact on myself. I'm sure, like a lot of people, have been experiencing different changes right now. I started my position with my unit Yatar just in September before the war broke out. So I was very proud to be part of this unit on October 7th, seeing how our men who ended up being killed that day, they were fighting till their very last breath. It was amazing to see firsthand people putting their lives at risk for others and still doing it to this day. I feel very proud as a woman to be also part of this unit that includes both men and women as equal and doesn't see any differences, because we all know that at the end of the day, if you're doing your work and you're qualified, then there's a reason why you're here and this is what you do. So I feel very proud on those aspects, just to be part of this unit, and to see people. Most of our soldiers are maybe a bit older, so they have families, kids, jobs that they put on the line, just to be able to dedicate some of their time to be part of this unit. And this is, again, even regardless to the war, this is what happens on a daily basis with us on a routine times.
Right.
So for me, it's incredible and emotional to see people who just want to dedicate and volunteer their time and provide what they can just to give service to their country, to their communities, to their families. And it's just been very emotional. But it's also a time where we all have to stay strong and stay together, which is something that we've all been doing, and push forward and know that at the end of the day, we know our ultimate goal is to keep our country safe and where it is. So that's what we're all operating to. So we're all very much goal oriented to that. So it's an amazing environment to be part of. And I'm very proud of my unit, the people that I'm surrounded by, and my country, and us, being so united and put together.
Amen. We're proud of you too, Zoe. Coming as one woman leader to another, I'm very proud of the work that you're doing and honored to have you on our program today. In closing, what would you say? What would your final comments to our audience be? Because, we're frustrated here in the United States of America. We look at our administration and the sleight of hand that this administration is pulling on Israel at a time when she needs America more than ever before. And we just got word that weapons are being withheld from Israel that were already promised, already paid for. And I know how frustrating this must be for the current administration, for the Netanyahu administration. But here you are fighting. You're on the front lines. You're fighting the battle. And you need the resources to be able to effectively eliminate your enemy. And we want to provide, Americans want to make sure we provide, that our government provides every resource possible for you and the rest of the units across the nation to be able to effectively eliminate the enemy. It benefits, of course, you and your community, the citizens of your nation, and it also benefits the world, the free world. And so we cheer you on. We support you. Our prayers are for you. Give us, our audience, some final comments. What would you like to share with them, and how can they learn more about your work and get involved?
Yes, absolutely. I really, first of all, thank you again. All the kind words and support mean a lot to me personally and to my whole unit. And I think to what you were saying, if anyone wants to help, I don't know, on the larger scale, we focus on our own units and what we do in order to get our mission done. So that's what we're focusing on, and not everything else that's happening around it. But if anyone does want to help, then I would love to be in contact. I am currently in the US. Happy to meet any individual, any group, any community that would want to hear me maybe speak to them and introduce them more. So they can look me up through yatarisrael.org. That's our website, and our information is there. We also have our Instagram page or social media. And if anyone wants to get involved, then I encourage you to reach out to me, to look our work online, and to see how our work is so important, just because at the end of the day, it is life-saving. And protecting the land that we so care for and cherish. So again, I would love anyone who would be interested to reach out to me personally, and you can find my information online, like I said. And I would appreciate anyone who would want to help and get involved with us. Our unit is very small, but we're a very tight-knit family, and we love sharing that with anyone who'd want to be part of it.
Absolutely. And Zoe, I am thinking about a group that you should be speaking to. So you and I are going to continue this conversation offline. But ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking with Zoe Marks, and she is on the front lines of this battle. I am so proud of her, being a woman, being willing to take on this enemy to protect her people, to protect her family, her community, her country. This is the greatness of America. These are the values that Americans and Israelis share. And so, I hope you all found this program informative. We're going to post this podcast on our website and all of our podcast platforms so that you can share this Zoe's story, her unit story with your family and friends. As PJTN Watchmen, we have a biblical mandate to stand against the ungodly rising Nazi threat that is destroying this nation and other Western nations, threatening our Judeo-Christian values and promoting anti-Semitism. And ladies and gentlemen, we cannot remain silent. God warned the prophet Ezekiel about the responsibility of the watchman. And if the watchman doesn't warn the inhabitants and any innocent blood is shed because the watchman did not do his job, God's going to hold that watchman responsible. And we as PJTN Watchmen are standing on the front lines. We're watching out for our Jewish brethren, and we're doing everything we possibly can to help them to provide the resources they need in order to accomplish their mission. So you can sound the alarm and warn others by simply sharing this podcast with your family and friends. So please share and like the podcast to help sound the alarm in your community. And remember, Dietrich Bonhoeffer told us that silence in the face of evil is itself evil. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. Don't forget to join us for next week's podcast as we continue this conversation about combating the rise of anti-Semitism and taking back local control of our communities and our children's education. I want to also remind you that if you have not signed up to become a PJTN Watchman, you can help support this mission through our award-winning documentaries and Focus on Israel programs, as well as more programs like this for just $20 a month. So go to our website at pjtn.org to watch our programs and listen to our past podcasts. With your generous monthly donation, you can ensure that PJTN remains on the front lines and in the headlines, but we can't do it without your faithful prayers and financial support. I hope that you will prayerfully consider supporting our mission as we educate to activate Jews, Christians, and all people of conscience to stand on the front lines of this all-encompassing war. God bless you, and thank you for all you do on behalf of our Jewish brethren, the State of Israel, and these United States. Thank you again for joining me on this edition of Proclaiming Justice. Please share this podcast with your family and friends. For more information about how you can get involved, please visit our website at pjtn.org. As a PJTN Watchman, you can help us keep up the fight to preserve our freedom for our children and their children for such a time as this.